I think as well. A lot of people are trying to connect with other people and to learn about certain passions and expertise and backgrounds, to kind of experience something out of the ordinary, something they wouldn't know by just visiting a city and exploring the Lonely Planet, for instance, but having like a local perspective.
So, what do you want to know about this community? Is that what you're here for?
Yes, I think we want to know a lot. We have so many questions.
I'm super ignorant about this community. I don't know anything, so any information.
Where are you from?
I'm from Italy.
I'm from the Netherlands.
I'm half Lebanese, half French, from Beirut and Paris.
I just got back from Nice.
I'm Welsh, British.
Wow, United Nations here.
A melting pot.
Yeah. So the story with this community, it began in Russia, came to America in 1940, right here to this house on Eastern Parkway, became the center of this movement. And now it's everywhere, literally. Every state has a Chabad center, and what about 70 countries? Including every country you mentioned. So the philosophy behind it is really very, very simple. God is a very personal God. Not because we want it, but because He wants it. It's not like we're trying to make it personal. It was always personal. So just getting right to the heart of God created the world for something personal. That was His motivation. That's what it's all about. That's what He's looking for. And that's how we serve Him, by responding personally to Him. Now, once you introduce God as personal, well, everything falls into place. As long as we're being personal, as long as we're being intimate, let's get married and be intimate, And as long as we're being intimate, open up the community. Let people come and see what. There's no benefit in hiding or in keeping secrets. So you'll find that this community is almost ridiculously open. Some people say, oh, you're so non-judgmental. No, we're very judgmental. And the judgment that we come to, the conclusion that our judgment leads us to, is that you have to be open and invite everybody. So it's not careless or indifference or sloppiness. It's the philosophy. So I hear from Yoni that other tour groups, other neighborhoods, they'll take you past the building and say this houses whatever, and this, something goes on here, something goes on there. You don't go inside because it may not be convenient or whatever. Not in this community. Here, every building you go, every building that has something happening, walk right in. And they'll explain things, and they'll welcome you, and So we're a very outward, inviting community by conviction. We believe in it.
By community, are you talking about this community or the Hasidic in general?
This community.
This community.
Yeah. By the way, this is kind of...
How many communities do you have in New York, for example?
We have centers, not communities.
Okay.
So we have a Hasidic couple who will set up an office or a center, and they'll invite people and teach and whatever they do. But this is the community. This is where they all came from. This is where they were educated. So for the Jewish people, this is a relatively new experience. We hadn't had the luxury of of being inviting in the past. It's only very recently. And so the objective is to break down all barriers, beginning with belief. If you have a belief that is only good for you, that's bad news. If it's not for everybody, then it's not for anybody. And that doesn't mean converting everybody, because that also says that it's limited. You're either inside or outside. Right? The philosophy, or the truth, I guess, has to be for everybody. There is no truth that belongs to certain people, because then it's automatically not true. So what is the truth? The truth is that since God created the world and everyone in it by choice, He created me, He created you intentionally, because there's something He needs from you. Nobody is excluded from that. Now, He may need different things from Jews, because we're the priestly nation. He may need different things from women than from men. He may need different things from employers than from employees. So everybody has their responsibilities, everybody has their place, but nobody is unnecessary in God's vision of the world. So if everybody would focus on what does He need from me, we would have a pretty nice world. What's the competition? What are we fighting over? Psychologically, knowing that you're needed, knowing that you're necessary, far more important than being loved. I know we worship love in this country, but love is not the most important thing. People can live without love, but you can't live if you're not necessary. Because imagine if you're not necessary, but somebody loves you. Well, what does that make you?
Useless.
Useless but lovable. Yeah. That makes you a pet. So your whole existence depends on this person's mood. As long as they love you, you're okay. If they stop loving you, you're finished. That can't be.
But don't you think that love and necessity kind of correlate? Like when somebody loves you, they also might think you're necessary?
Think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need you for their love. That doesn't make you necessary. It makes them necessary. So here's the problem. The problem is that whoever is necessary in your life, you should love. That makes sense. If something is crucial to your life, you should love it. But loving it doesn't make it crucial. That's so arrogant. If I love you, you're important. If not, like without my love, you're worthless. That's a nasty statement. So, that which is important, you ought to love. And what if you don't love it? It's still important. Like, the brother you hate. Yeah. He's still important. On the other hand, the stranger you love, still not important. That is a very necessary distinction. Because we're so hung up on love, we're killing ourselves over it. We're dying dying for it, killing for it. It's a religion. Love is our newest religion.
So how can you convert love to being important?
Well, just knowing that you are already necessary, indispensable to God's plan. That's a good start. So a lot of loneliness, we started off talking about, and a lot of anxiety would be lifted just from knowing whatever's going on, you're necessary. So you don't worry about all the things that could possibly happen, right? Yeah, anything could happen, but obviously God needs you, so it's not going to happen. And if He needs you, why would He paralyze you and make you unable to fulfill His need? That wouldn't make any sense. But if it's all our need and He's in a bad mood, like most religions tell you, the anxiety that adds is just terrible.
Does this make you do more things to be more necessary?
You can't be more necessary. Necessary is necessary. There's no compromises on that. The question is, are you doing what you are necessary for? That's a moral challenge. Are you living up to your capacity, to your potential? Because there's something you can do that nobody else can.
But what if I don't understand what I'm necessary for?
Okay, so it's not like we have to think of something weird. Like everybody eats, so you shouldn't, because you want to be necessary for something else. All the right things, all the good things that we all know we should do. How many people does God need giving charity? 10, 100, million? He needs everyone to give charity. But every person that gives charity is a little different than the next person. So when you give charity, you're doing something nobody else does. Because nobody is exactly like you. So every moral thing, every good act, every kindness that you do, only you can do it the way you do it, with your circumstances, with your resources, with your history. So you have 1 million people giving charity. It's 1 million different individual needs that God has. So just look around, see what good you can do because of your circumstances, who you can help, who you can reach, what you can accomplish, and there it is.
So by doing these acts, you're not earning your necessity. You're more realizing your necessity rather than...
You don't have to earn necessity. You're already created. We don't earn being born.
I've read that Jewish people do not believe in paradise. So what do they believe in?
We believe in this world. I have no interest in going anywhere else. But when you leave this world, where do you go? To paradise. Hey, where else are you going to go? But it's not that we don't believe in it. We don't look forward to it. That's not the goal. That's where you go when you can't be here. But the best thing is to be here. Because, if you think about it, anyone who believes that there's a better world than this one is a potential terrorist. Right? If I can get to a better world than this one, then to heck with this one. Not good. There is no better world than this one. Because here you can do what He needs. In heaven, he'll take care of you. Who wants that?
So there are some similarities to Protestantism, right? Seems to me quite similar in a way because of what we have said.
All religions have something in common. But the emphasis, the goal, the objective, very different. And that makes all the difference in the world. So yes, there is a paradise and there is a hell. Now, you don't have to die to go there. Some people experience hell and some people experience heaven, even while they're alive on earth. So these are just realities. It's not even a religion. Before there was religion, people already knew that there was a heaven and a hell. Because you come from somewhere and you go somewhere. It's not just poof and it's over. So that's part of a philosophy of life. It's not even part of religion.
How does it reflect in your daily lives, the religion that you have? Like, what are the traditions? What are...
Well, if you read the Bible, the 5 books of Moses, which is addressed to the Jewish people, primarily, if you add them all up, there are 613 commandments, which can keep you busy.
I'm sure.
The main thing is to create the world, to move the world to where it matches God's vision when he first decided to create the world. So he created the world with a goal, obviously. He wants a certain kind of world that is his kind, a godly world. But he gave us freedom of choice. And in order for the world to be the way he wants it to be, it's up to us. So in a very real sense, he is vulnerable. If we do it, it'll happen. If not,
If we came from somewhere and we go somewhere, is the belief the same for other beings, like animals?
the same principle is true. I don't know if we go to the same place, but to the same condition. It's not really a place. It's not a location. But we were something before we became human, and we will be something after the human part dies. An animal was something before it became an animal, and it will be something. Energy, something. So human beings have souls, animals have spirits. It's different.
How big is the civic community in New York, and how did it evolve over time? Did it get a lot, because we were talking to your friends there, and she said that the language is a lot less than it used to be. Do you see that as well with the community?
I guess what challenges do we face, right? Like since as it's evolved,
Yeah.
what challenges has the community faced?
Every challenge that exists. Because when you're that open, you're completely vulnerable. So every problem that exists, we have.
What's the aim of the community? What's meant the aim of the community?
To convince as many people as possible to make the world godly.
When you say godly, you say better world, you say a world where people believe.
Better in all the ways that we already know. We don't have to invent any new values. But if you do it in the awareness that God is depending on you, that's a whole different quality to the goodness. So you have 2 people giving a lot of charity. One is doing it because he wants to, and he can. The other one is doing it because he knows that God is expecting it. The first guy, if he gets into a bad mood, he stops. The second guy, even when he's down financially, he'll continue to give because that's what he's here for. So it makes a huge difference in being moral because you feel like, or being moral because that's what God is waiting for.
It's a hard question. Being the chosen people, how do religious Jewish people receive the others? Would you be here to also educate them? Would you be here? How do they perceive the other world?
It is our responsibility and our burden to educate the rest of the world because we were there at Sinai, we heard what God said, and we've got to pass on the message. For many years, nobody was listening, to put it mildly, so we didn't get a chance to say anything. And despite that, so much of Judaism has shown up in Christianity, in Islam, in Buddhism, because Jews are everywhere. So even without being permitted, we've accomplished something. Now that the world is actually interested, this is where we really have to get to work.
It's still so hard to convert to Judaism. I hear that it's a mother who gives a religion and not a father. And it takes in I don't know, the Jewish people that I know, if they have to marry someone that is not Jewish, it takes them 8 to 10 years to that person to convert. Is it the same in every communities, more or less? And
No,
why is it so long?
it's not necessarily that long. There's no such time. But anyone who wants to convert to Judaism is discouraged because it's not necessary. God needs you the way you are. So you're not going to accomplish any great things by becoming Jewish if you weren't born Jewish. Now there are some people who just feel compelled and nothing is going to stop them. Okay. If nothing's going to stop you, go for it. But as a principle, no need. Don't do this. Not everybody has to be clergy. Yeah? So we are the clergy of the world. Imagine if everybody became clergy. Who would you preach to? No, not necessary. Conversion is a compulsion, not a decision or a choice or a need. There's no need to convert.
You see, when I married that person, but then again we go back to the love.
Well, if you're converting because you want to marry, then it's not even legitimate. You have to convert to the religion, not to someone. That's why we discourage it. Because if it's really real, you'll do it anyway, no matter how much we discourage. And if it's not really necessary, then don't do it. You're not losing out on anything by not being Jewish. And besides, there's no fun talking to Jews.
I don't know. Right now, it's pretty fun.
No, for me. So
the overall goal is very different to other religions, right?
Yep.
You don't necessarily want people to convert, it's just to follow the overall principle.
yes. And in that sense, I think it would be correct to say Judaism is not a religion. Because we don't want to convert the whole world. We don't want to go to heaven. Come on, that's it. You're not a religion. Right? If you don't want something from God, you're not a religion. We don't want anything from him. He wants something from us. Well, if he wants it, you do it. You don't have to be religious for that. So you're going to take a tour now, or you're... Yeah? Oh, good.
Yeah, happy to.
You could stay all day.
Yeah, I think I could say.
Great, great, great.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy.